What's good, people? It's your boy, Icarus. Great.
What?
And also in the building is the executive producer, Prima Diva.
Hello, everyone.
And this is Gray Area Anime. Check it out. Picture, if you will. Dig, if you will. Picture. You and I engaged in watching anime. The sweat of the tension covers me. Tell me, Amelia, can you picture this? Return by season 2.
I would like to point out that I did not step all over any of that, and
No,
I
you
feel
didn't.
like I probably should have.
No, I'm glad you
I
didn't.
feel like that was the moment. If I was going to do it, that was
This
it.
is what it. Oh, as my mic falls. This is what it sounds like
Is it?
when ReZero starts again.
Oh, I thought you were going to say when Amelia cries or something like that.
She
Something
hasn't
along-
cried yet. We're good.
When Patrash cries.
Patricia didn't cry either. So
She did later.
you just okay. I didn't think I'd be using this so early. Thought maybe you'd get a couple more words in, and that you'd be able to, work on some
Rude.
things. Anyway, so we're here to talk ReZero, obviously. Season 2. Episode 28, entitled The Long-Awaited Reunion. They are moving fast.
Super
It
fast.
feels like.
Yes.
And we only say that just because novel-wise, it just seems like they are packing a lot into these 2 episodes, or it's been 3. So these 3 episodes that of season 2 have been jam-packed with a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This one starts where the last one left off. He's in the middle of a tea party with Ekadana. And it's always interesting to see Subaru interact with people first times, especially when he has a mission at hand.
His IDGAF nature.
Yeah. Well, his
Fly by the seat of my pants. Carefree.
his E factor, his Amelia factor. When the Amelia factor is high, it's like, look, I need to make sure she's all right. Because the last thing he saw was Amelia passing out in the carriage, and now he's walked into this different place where he's met the Witch of Greed, Ekadana, like I said. She wants to have a conversation with him. She's so cerebral. It's like almost what I want to say here. You're taken aback a little bit. And it's interesting to see her character development. Because reading, you kind of get a sense of her personality, but having it illustrated, having it voiced, is a completely different realm unto itself. So now you're presented with this very analytical person who you can also tell is analytical to the point of greed, if you will. She wants to know everything, and she knows that she knows a lot. She feels that she knows a lot, and it's intensive. So we're like looking at, because we haven't met any of the witches. We've seen glimpses of the Witch of Envy, but this is our first time getting to actually talk to one. We've gotten to talk to who was it? We got to talk to who was it? Who was that? Who did we get to talk to?
In terms of witches,
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
we've not talked to any witches prior to this.
Oh no, that's what I was trying to say. We got to see Emilia when she got mad,
Yes.
which is similar to kind of like this feeling that you'll get from Echidna
Oh
or
yes,
Echidna later in this conversation. So anyway, she's asking him all these questions. She's introducing herself like, I know that there's things that you want to ask me. I know there's things you want to ask me. What were you about to say?
And to the, like, in terms of them compressing a lot of information, which I love that they do not waste a moment in this anime. They give you, like, every single moment they spend it giving you information that is world building, character development. Like they utilize their time well. So in her expression of how smart she is, she literally introduces every other witch and tells you a brief bit of the other witch's history. And I find that so ironic because they're talking about, and I was just about to look it up. I can't remember which witch it is, but one of them heals people by beating them up. And she was, a witch during like the war torn era of the world that they live in. And so that like gives you not only who the witch is and what the paradox is, because I mean,
Are you already going further into the episode of what she was talking about with him?
No, she was literally like, what do you want to ask me? Because that's what you were talking about when she was expressing how knowledgeable she is to tempt him into talking to her. And so that's kind of, I thought that was just amazing because again, they have these paradoxical aspects of what a witch is. Like in and of itself, Echidna shouldn't be a problem. Like she just wants knowledge. She just wants knowledge from every facet, from every way of like possibly gathering knowledge. In and of itself, the lust or the desire for knowledge, well, let me say in and of itself, the desire for knowledge should not be problematic. That shouldn't be what like labels you as a witch, right? But it's her lust. It's her extreme lust and desire for experimentation, as we'll later find out more and more about, that makes her a witch. And it's so interesting because just like you were saying with the character, she's so fun. She's so fun. But it isn't until later on that you realize, no, man, maybe she's not what I think she is. So yeah, I thought that was very, very clever of them to pack all of that in.
And this, my friends, is what happens when you have to go and look for your phone and you get back to the mic and you're like, yeah.
Why did you have to share that though? Like, why?
I do. Because you're like,
you didn't know. You didn't know.
Went way, like, come on.
No, that's what I wanted to share before is that exact part. Like, I just thought that was very clever, very great.
Good so anyway, back to the actual story. Thank you.
That is the story. That was my point. Sheesh. Icarus.
There's shorter ways to wrap that point up. Anyway.
Hello, Kettle.
I'm the podcast guy. I'm supposed to do it.
So you're the pod. Okay.
For the seasoning, not for the whole course. You're just here to season.
Sure.
There you go. All right. I'm just going to do that while I finish talking about my points. I'll let you get back in later. Anyway, we're back. So they're talking.
But we never left.
You're muted.
I know.
Yeah, that's all, folks. No, but anyway, so they're talking. They're like, she's asking them all these questions. She's trying to entice them, as Prima Diva so eloquently explained in a 3-page essay.
Hey. Keep it moving.
I'm trying. You make
move
it so hard. So yeah, so she does that, and then Subaru is just like, all right, how I get out of here?
She's like,
wait, what?
Ask me anything.
Ask me any, like.
And he's like, oh, well, if I ask you to let me out, you gonna let me out, right? She's like, what?
What? You don't want to know that, blah, blah, blah.
Wait, what?
You don't want to know about the Witch of Sloth and blah, 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 blah. Like, she just starts menacingly going over the fact that this witch did this witch did that.
But the Witch of Envy, though.
She also talked about, she mentions the Witch of Sloth. I'm going to say it was Sloth. that she mentioned. She literally tells you where the dragon is.
Oh, actually, that might have been.
I think it was Sloth.
I don't know that it was. I don't know if it was.
I think it was Sloth because she wanted to sleep, or she wanted to
oh
rest.
Yeah, no,
or
that makes sense.
Or something like that.
That is what she said. Led a dragon across the waterfall so she could finally get some rest.
Yeah, led the world dragon or something like that. But
she didn't even define it. That's what was so great about it. You know exactly who she's talking about.
I think she did define it. I think she was very articulate about what she said at that point. But anyway, so like they're saying all of these different things and they're introducing all of the other witches. Well, their silhouettes. You know how anime does. Even though they have literally shown you what the witches look like at the end of the last episode,
right?
You don't know that,
but you don't know which witches are which, and you don't know what they are, so it's still exciting.
It's just a weird thing that anime does to me, because you could if you could literally Google search the people now, so it's like less advantageous for you to do it. But anyway, so she basically starts talking to him and tells him, because Subaru pays attention to nothing. He's literally trying to get back to Amelia. He walks up. He drinks the tea that she offered. She's like, yeah, that was my bodily fluids, yo.
I mean, no, like let's clarify. He didn't just drink. It's not like he sat down at the table and took a sip.
No, she said, come sit and have tea. Like we have tea, and then he just walks up like, all right,
runs up to the table and gulps it, trying to get out of there.
This tea isn't all that bad. Actually, what is it?
Bodily fluids.
And that's literally how it happens. She's like, "What?" You're like, "What?
It's
what?"
produced here.
She tells him immediately, like, "Hey, you're the one who killed the." She doesn't say the archbishop, but she says something about
you killed Sloth.
But
right?
anyway, you killed him, and with that, you gained his witch factor,
right?
Which I feel is a new revelation or a way they're going about this in the anime, because I don't feel like that was apparent, but it does make things that happen later more actualized.
See, what I was going to mention was what we talked about last episode when I was saying that they like completely skipped over a whole aspect of the moment between him and Beatrice, because in the reading, there was a whole reaction or something happening between Beatrice and him, where he saw the way that Beatrice was looking at the gospel, and then something in him was like, no, don't give it to her. Like, and even she warned him at that moment in the reading, you need to be careful with that. You need to be very, very careful. And so we kind of got that before in the reading, but I like that they decided to reveal it in this moment.
Well, here's another thing that they've done here. That makes things later on make sense. Somewhere along the line, he does end up using unseen hand.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, okay, we don't have to talk about it no more. Let's not talk about it anymore. I don't want to blow it.
I had already stopped.
I wasn't going to talk about that.
Let you guys know. See what happened
you did
there?
That to yourself.
No, I didn't do anything. I just said, no,
you did that to the audience.
Exactly what I wanted to do.
That's what you should have did to yourself the first time.
So she basically explains something, and the witch factors will get explained in this season, because it hasn't really been something that they've delved into, but they are going to delve into it. It is going to be very emotionally intensive with how they explore it, but you guys will be all right. So anyway, they have this conversation. They move a little bit forward. He asks to leave. She's like, he tells her, hey, I'll come back later. I just need to go and check this thing. And she was like, I can't believe you say that to a dead person. This is the witch's graveyard. I'm a soul. And she's lamenting their conversation, but in her way. What you'll learn about Ekadana is she's Sheldon without being
really?
She's Sheldon without being like extra with it. So she knows a lot more to be more natural about her feelings, to be more surprised in this, that, and the third. She is all about her results. Exactly. Does this reach or testing hypothesis? and seeing things through. So she goes through that, the whole gambit of that in her mind without real emotions. It seems like emotions, but you'll see later on. Anyway, fast forward, because we're about halfway through and we haven't even got past the tea party. But not much else happens really after this.
Oh, well, I don't want to say that.
Not a whole lot happens after this because we're not gonna like just in general. Like you can.
The rest of it does go by pretty quickly. You're right.
So he gets kicked out. When he runs out of this temple that he's arrived in, he sees Otto laid out on the ground. He sees the carriage standing in front of him with trash, and he runs to the carriage. Does he run to the carriage before or after this person talks to him?
Well, what happened first is as soon as he walks out of the thing, he hears somebody speaking and he starts lifting off the ground, and that's
yeah.
He threw him.
So someone throws him. Blonde-haired kid was not. We'll get there. Can I get like this? Is what I'm saying.
I just was asking.
You have no. You don't have to ask. I got it.
You got it.
2-minute timeout. Like, just terrible. So he's thrown in the air. He lands by the carriage. He's not sitting there like, He just gets up, runs to the carriage, and is like, is Amelia okay? That is what you would call a ride or die. Like,
oh yeah.
Get out of here.
Really?
Get out of here. I didn't ask you to come back yet.
Fine.
Anyway. So he blah 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 blah.
Really?
Looks at her. Well, before he looks at her, because this is more towards the conclusion of everything. The guy who threw him runs up on him. He's like, "Hey, we know Frederica." He's like, "Okay, I still want to smash your face in." Yeah. He's like, "Don't you want to know how we know her or anything like that?" Nah, not really. And then he, de-escalates the situation by explaining, to which at that point he has to he apologizes to Otto because I guess he roughed him up a little bit. He's like, I basically got beat up for nothing and you're over here saying whatever, which is funny because it's also foreshadowing. And it's funny.
Yeah.
Like they are literally throwing on just the most foreshadowing ever.
Which again is great. That lets you know exactly how far they're going to go in this season, and it gives you a lot of information that you viewers will really enjoy going back and rewatching this. It'll be fun to go back to
because they will do a lot of callbacks. That is pretty much what ReZero is, and the fact that they restart, they redo, the callbacks mean a lot more because it doesn't lie to you. It doesn't put a shroud over your eyes. They tell you the honest truth at every moment that they can. And
the best shows, I feel, do that. They give it to you up front and you don't even realize it's in front of you.
Because you'll start looking at something else because you're in the moment, you're like in this, but they're really saying everything that they need to say. Anyway, so he introduces himself. He's Garfield. He's Frederica's little brother. They don't say that, and they'll get to that later, but just know that that's a thing. They have a conversation with him about a lot of different things. He tells him what the sanctuary is. That's also a whole bunch of there are so many landmines of things that are going to pay off before the end of the season, which are really, really good. They pull up to the small village that is in Sanctuary. Ram's there waiting on them. They go out to talk to her. Subaru's looking a little sad because this is his first time seeing Ram. He does still deal with the feelings of what happened with Ram and the fact that no one remembers, but he still wants to apologize.
Yeah.
Because
he still wants her to ask about her too.
Yeah. He just wants her to be remembered.
I feel like she did tell him, hey, watch out for her.
Oh yeah. When she knew, I think before they
left the mansion.
Before they left off, yeah. And you see the anguish on his face. And this is like Subaru in his weakened state. Like he can seem confident in a lot of ways in how they show him. But he also does not understand. And whenever he's in a moment of not understanding, it's kind of a bit of a break for us that are watching. But then it just kind of expounds and grows from there. So he's about to talk to her, but Amelia kind of stops him. Is like, "Hey, we need to get inside," and he's like, "Well, thank you for that, because I still feel I feel a way about it or whatever." They go inside to Roswell. I'm not gonna say my favorite phrase today, but he is just a terrible person.
We don't like him right now.
I don't think I ever will. Anyway. So they begin to talk with him. He's bandaged up. He doesn't have his makeup on. He just looks like a regular old dude with two colored eyes. And they're talking about like what happened, how did he get injured, and all these things. He says a couple things to Subaru, that will indict himself a little bit later. But the big takeaway of this conversation is more so how he reacts to Amelia. So Amelia is only using the words that he's used. So he said, this is where the witch of greed died. You can consider this to be a witch graveyard kind of thing. To which she then responds, repeating him. And it's like, so this is where the witch of Echidna. Yeah. And he says it
correction.
And it's in such a way that you're like, whoa, okay. Sorry, didn't know I was stepping on a. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's worth mentioning too, that before he left, I don't know if we mentioned it earlier, but Echidna told Subaru he could not speak to anybody about like their meeting. So she totally shut his mouth on that. And she also gave him the ability to test the trials, which you don't know what about at the very beginning until we get to exactly where we are right now. So,
but she also removes the memory. He doesn't have the memory.
He can't.
So it's not like she just said to him. She literally removed the memory of the fact that they met. So just to clarify on her clarification on what you need to know.
And that goes back to the vows and the secrets or the promises we talked about a few episodes
Yeah, we
back.
talked about that.
That's
definitely.
What it is.
The vows and things are very important in this world to reiterate. They are covenants. They are contracts. Yes. It is not to be played with. If you say, I vow to be with you for the rest of my life, in that world, that's what that means. Like, it means that if I decide to separate from you, my soul will literally start depleting and I will probably die before I get or whatever far away.
That'd be interesting to animate. But anyway.
So they're talking about it, and then Garfield, because we used to call him Garfield.
That's what
Garfield is what I used to call him. Garfield.
I don't think I ever said that, but okay.
I used to call him Garfield because that's what it spelled like. And I mean, I wouldn't say Garfield.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he comes in, basically says that Roswell got hurt because he tried to take the trials. And they're talking about like, what are the trials? So then he starts explaining to them, okay, here's the deal. She's a half elf and she can't leave. Basically, she has to overcome these trials. These trials will release the barrier. You can't leave here until you do that.
And neither can the Arlem villagers. We're holding them hostage.
Yeah. We're feeding them. We're not going to hurt them unless we need to. 3 hots and a cot. This is what this is.
Really? 3 hots and a cot. Nice.
So, and it's intense, but it's not as intense as it should be. So which you'll see that later on. So anyway, now they leave from there to meet in the actual sanctuary, in the actual church, cathedral, which is strange given Echidna's thought process and lifestyle.
Maybe it was for her.
Yeah, maybe, but I think it was just probably one of her weird experiments. Anyway,
probably.
So now they're coming to talk to the villagers, and they've already been told basically what's going on. You guys can't leave until this happens. Subaru comes in and tell them like, hey, I know you guys know that we can't leave until these trials have been passed. and we have someone. There's someone who can do the job, and they're like, "Oh, is it you?" He's like, "Well, I wish I could do it, but no."
Again, memory
so then
gone.
Amelia walks in, and she begins to talk with him, and this is the first moment where she wins over the villagers.
Right.
There's an actual connection, and she says the chief of the village was the old lady who pinched Subaru's butt.
Oh yeah,
season.
I forgot that. Yes.
And said it made her younger.
Made her feel young again.
Because everybody's just attracted to that guy in his orbit of personality and just how he seems to get people. Something that I don't think he attributes a lot to himself. He does not give himself a lot of credit for it, which he should, but does not.
I think we'll deal with that a little bit too in this season.
Oh, no, they're going to definitely deal with that. Next episode, actually. But anyway.
Yeah.
So she talks to them and she says, or the chief says to Amelia, "Hey, why did you bow your head to us again?" And she says, "I don't really have an articulate reason for that. I just want to protect you. I didn't promise the other villagers that I would bring you back, but I'm promising that to myself." She gives it in this real campaign speech kind of way, but it's more natural to her.
Yeah.
It's to her, but it's that kind of speech. And so they say, "Well, we just hope that you can accept our friendship." And she says, "Well, I hope that you can accept my friendship." And there's this cool moment.
Yeah.
They leave out, and Ram says to Subaru, "I can see a change in her. What'd you do?" Said, "Well, I don't always have to do something for her to change. She can change on her own." Huge, impactful line.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that. Pay attention to the developments throughout this season. So now they fast forward to Amelia actually taking the trials, which means she's going to walk into the temple. She's walking up to the temple. It begins to glow a neon teal, blue, greenish kind of thing. To which Garfield responds, "Hey, this is a sign that she's been accepted by the trials and that she can take them." Subaru looks over. He said, why haven't you taken the trials or something like that?
Yeah.
To which he basically says, "I mean, I would if I could."
Again.
Little moments. Little small moments. So she goes in, and it's basically the temple is supposed to stay lit until she's done with the trial, apparently, is how they are proposing it. But, of course, in ReZero fashion, the light immediately basically goes out.
What feels like immediately, yeah.
I mean, it's probably a little bit of time, but it's not like a lot of time. Yeah. It's really not a lot. To which Subaru's like, because he doesn't understand what's going on. He says to himself, "I'm about to run in here and get her, and I'll just yell back once I got to her." So as he's running up to the trials, the building begins to glow. Now, if you'll remember, as Prima Diva has stated before, that Ekidana told him that I'm going to bless you with the ability to take these trials.
Right.
So he runs in. He sees her, and when he sees her, he falls and passes out. He wakes up in a bed in a room with a lot of anime figurines, and a gentleman runs and jumps on him, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I feel like he says, "Wake up."
He says, "Good morning, my son."
That's what he says. "Good morning, my son." So yeah, it's his dad. And so there was a couple things I missed as we're at the end of this episode. This breakdown is just kind of walking you through it that you should kind of pay attention to. Ekidana does have a conversation with him saying that she gave him that drink so that they would be able to have a little bit more time together, and that the factor that is in him would not interfere.
Yeah, she mentioned specifically that she had the Witch of Envy's factor included in the tea. Some part of the Witch of Envy's abilities included in the tea so that they could talk.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be interrupted. which makes a lot of sense about a couple things that are coming up. But anyway, the next episode or the next 2 episodes, depending upon how they do it, are going to be tough. If you have any social anxieties, if you're a recluse, if you are a shut-in, if you feel that you are neat, we did a whole episode on this, and kind of talking about that. If you feel any of that, these next episodes or episode, just depending upon how much they decide to do, because they've been packing a lot into these episodes, is going to be a little difficult if they're going to do it kind of how we read it. And they've been pretty spot on with doing things like that. So just prepare yourself. It's going to be very introspective. I remember reading it and I had a lot of emotions about how I feel I connect with that. And we'll talk about that in the next episode and kind of break that down. But to give a general synopsis, this episode was just setting up where they are. It's setting up a lot of things that are to come that are very impactful. They are going to build these characters out. They are not going to just leave you with Subaru being the only person who grows and learns things. You are about to learn these characters, learn why they're important, learn their motivations, learn their aspirations, and learn why they all trust Subaru so much. And how they can then find that same trust in themselves, how they will then want to reach for the future and what that means. And I'm excited for you guys to watch it. I hope that when you guys listen to these things, that it makes you more willing to try it out. You know, we break these things down in a way that I hope is reaching you. Excuse me. But if you have any concerns or things that you would like to see us do, Primitive is about to do her thing, so you'll know where to do that at.
If you'd like to get into contact with us, you can get at us on social media on Twitter at Gray Area Anime 1. You can hit us up on Instagram at Gray Area Anime. And you can also email us at grayareaanime@gmail.com. We also have that Facebook popping for those of you who have been listening there. Thank you so much at Gray Area Anime on Facebook.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys in the next one. It's a 1 and a 2 and a peace.